Lead, inspire, motivate, and empower. Welcome to Lead with DX, your guide to digital transformation in a complex world. Here are your hosts, Lars and Wasantha Wirakuni, the founders of Tech One Global and Enadoc.
All right. Hey, Wasantha.
Hi, Lars. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are yourself?
Sweaty, warm.
No power? Sri Lankan style?
Fortunately, today there is power.
Okay.
But yeah, so anyway, I'm on my laptop.
Okay. All right. Good. Talking about laptop, I think one of the things we didn't talk about in this past few times is, where technology was and where it is and where it is going. And this, ever-changing complexity that we are seeing in all the aspects of technology. Like every time there's a new version of something, it doesn't become easier to use. It becomes, in some cases, it's pretty easy to use because they hide all the features. Like if you look at your phone, for example, most of the updates, you cannot find any real documentation or any instruction video unless you watch somebody on YouTube talking about it, because they kind of try to hide that they're doing so many things. But there's so many features and function in most products today, and it's like okay, we have a team of engineers, what are we going to do on the next version? We need to keep them busy rather than trying to focus on the more simpler solutions. So I read a book a few years back. It's called The Complexity Avalanche, and really talks about how it becomes more difficult to adopt technology as technology becomes more complex. When you hire a new employee today, a great deal of their time is spent to try to understand and figure out the solutions that they have to do to work with to do their job. And in some companies, with maybe a faster turnaround, it becomes a challenge even to have people trained before they will move on. I have some friends who work in call centers or run call centers, and the complexity of some of the tools are so much that they have to basically scrap and start from scratch again, because they need to go back to the very basic to solve the problem and not solve a problem that doesn't really exist. If you think about some of the tools we use every day, like Excel, PowerPoint, and Word, and so on, they are, if you look at something like Word, for example, Microsoft Word, it is enough for a lawyer to write a complex document. It is enough for a student to write a thesis. It is enough for a business person to write a proposal. So for the normal user who just need to write down some notes, it's becoming more and more complex. What's your view on this? You are an engineer yourself, and you also head our engineering team at Enadoc. And so what's your view on this?
Lars, I would apologize, saying probably we are the reason that is becoming complex, because we try to be creative, but many times I remember that when we had discussions with you, you want everything to be simple. I remember that your cookbook, I know you're a cook part-time, or when there is no work, or I don't know, when there is work also. We started this, I always remember this book, with a little bit of effort. I don't remember the book's name, but you've been always talking about it. So I think to get started, for most of the people, the biggest challenge is the complexity that we have identified. So I think the user experience design is one of the most important aspects of any product today. But often or not, we forget that to be incomparable with rest of the world, we try to add, I think, things more and more onto it, making it quite a difficult user experience. You're right. I agree with you.
No, if you think something basic like a spoon, the design is not changing much over years. The design is only changing for aesthetics, for style, but the basic functions remain the same. Still, you can buy a spoon, and when you put it in the mouth, it feels awkward or has sharp edges, right? So even something so simple as a spoon, the user experience can be off by quite a lot. If you don't pay attention to as a consumer what you buy, but also as a manufacturer on what you deliver or develop, right? The reason I kind of got into thinking about this the last few weeks was because we have our product Enerdoc Sign, which was something that we basically developed during the lockdown when we said, okay, there's a lot of companies, they're not going straight out now to do ECM projects because they cannot scan their documents. They cannot go to the office. If they didn't buy an ECM already, now is not the time that they're going to implement one. So, but what are they going to do with the process that they need to do from home or from remote, such as signing documents? So we came up with a quite simple solution to be able to sign documents. And until today, we are using this. Almost 1.5 years later, we are using it ourselves inside our own company. As far as I am aware, there's not anybody in our company who is having a paid application to sign documents other than what we give them for Enerdoc. But then again, many customers, when we talk to them, they said, oh, but it's a nice product, but what if we also need this, or we also need this, or we also need that? How far is simple? How far is good enough? Actually, you will never see anybody, put a slogan, Enerdoc Sign, good enough, right? Because then what does it mean? It's good enough. It's actually one of the best slogans you could have because it means it does a job, right? It does not have all the bells and whistles that maybe come with a product that is much, much more expensive, but it does the job. And I think that's important part of any technology that we want to use. It has to do the job first. And then you can talk about further applications and things that you can develop. But as we now start to develop Enerdoc Sign, it is becoming again more and more complex, right? So at the end of the day, some of the beauty of the product disappears because of the complexity.
Yeah, Lars, so that's really, really true. When we started this product, we could simply sign and we digitally seal it. But later on, we decided, okay, there's a signing workflow. So who is signing first? Who is signing next? And now where do you sign? Whether you sign your full signature or your short signature, so the things, and then of course, added more security with OTP. So this all brings a lot of complexity to the product. But it was not purely based on our wish or vision, it's been added, right? It was some customers who walked into us said that if this feature is not there, we think it's not interesting. But is it really true? Because after we have added all these features, we have noticed that still we are using only the very basic features of the product, internally even.
Yeah. I mean, definitely there are functionality in any product that will, a new functionality that will improve the usability, right?
And breadth of the usability, Lars, it's not purely the usability. I think it will be able to serve a little bit extended market segment. Some companies require that. So that is how I don't know what is that percentage, but I think it will serve a niche side of a customer base. I think that's what I feel.
Yeah, if you're really thinking about it, so it's really in the search of incremental sales that products are changed and maybe divert from their basic core. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, just take, they say that the complexity forces every technology company to move into services business. For an example, take any ERP solution. Can somebody buy that ERP solution and implement themselves? No, you need a lot of services, right? So this is I don't know whether it's a necessary evil or whether it is this is. Because I believe that ERP solution should be complex enough so then that can solve the complex needs of the organizations, right? And whereas a simple solution like QuickBooks or something or Peachtree, I mean those days, whatever we used to call it, simply somebody can start installing and start using it. But will it be able to provide the services what the customer is expecting? So there are two sides to the coin. That's why I said this complexity has been created by the demand from the market. And then I think time to time we go back, just like when iPhone came in, at that time the other phones had so many features, right?
Yeah. I think still iPhone is probably one of the products with the most features, but it was actually the one I thought about when I started out. I said most of the new features, you have to tell somebody it's there if they're not following all the tech blogs and following all the people who are testing and exploring the new thing. If I said to my wife, have you updated to the latest version? And she probably updated to the latest version because she have a kind of a notification to do it. And then I will say, did you try so and so? And she will have no idea that feature is existing because it is deep inside the settings of a product to even use it. For example, in all iPhones today, you have a music recognition by Shazam. Shazam was this music recognition software that Apple bought. But most people would not know about it unless somebody told them or unless somebody, they read it somewhere. People would not know that it's there unless they really, have experienced it through another person. It is not something that pops up and say, okay, here are the 10 new features we have installed on your phone and this is how you learn them, right? So they hide them so people don't get alienated by new features, but maybe explore them ad hoc when they have capacity to learn. So that might be the style, that we keep things simple. And as you said, with the cookbook, which is a minimalist cooks at home, is okay. We keep it simple, but if you like to open the settings and then see this setting or that setting, you can. If you want to try this, it's there. So maybe the real way to do this user experience of the product is to keep it very simple, do 90% of the work that 90% of the companies need to do, or if you want to use the golden 80-20, fix 80% of the problem with 20% of the features, and then start to say, by the way, you have been using these features for some time. Did you try so and so, right? And then kind of open up like you peel an onion, like onion skin approach. The outer layer is one appearance. As you go deeper and deeper and deeper, you can go many layers inside and keep exploring new features. And for those people who really need that feature inside, they can dig deep and get that feature immediately.
And last, one other thing, I think this. So anyway, inevitably, all products are going to be complex. It's only only you will not be able to see that there are complexities. So along with that, what happens is there is a new business opportunity emerging. Many, so organizations will have services business to, transform. So the products, actually from products to product services is becoming a shift, right? Because purely a product cannot be used by many organizations unless they are using the simple features. But obviously, if you wanted to use it to the maximum extent, you may need some external services. So I think the complexity is forcing the technology companies, just moving into service business, just not purely product business.
Is it the industry forcing itself on the customer, or is it the customer demanding that?
Just it happens, because the customers demanded it, suppliers embedded it. But since suppliers embedded it, for the next customers to adapt it is becoming more complex. So they, that point they need to seek consultancy, or they need to seek support to use that feature.
So the value of the product is not apparent. We have to have
Absolutely.
somebody to tell us, okay, you bought this product, but the real value I have to tell you.
Absolutely.
So I think this is interesting, especially for us who are in the core of IT, where we actually develop our own product as well, right? I mean, it's not just we are selling somebody else's product. When we sell somebody else's product, we use a lot of the time that as a kind of a toolbox to solve problems with our solutions. So we should really think like that. Is that it should be apparent that the value you're paying is obvious to you.
Absolutely.
So we should not drive people to have to use services to get that out of the product, right? I mean, you immediately recognize the value of a spoon when you have your first meal with that spoon, and if it cuts your mouth, you immediately recognize that is not a good spoon, right? And if you are determined enough, you will just say, I'm not going to use it, and throw it out. And my mom, she used to buy, when she was looking at like cutlery or something like this, she used to buy one spoon from that set, and then she will take it home and try it, and if she likes that, then she will buy the set. So really testing it first, because otherwise you're going to sit with that spoon and have 2 or 3 meals a day with cutlery that you hate. And this is not quality, right? Your quality is your sensation of doing something that is nice, something good to hold. I mean, when you're talking about eating, holding a nice cutlery is a part of the experience of eating. Unless, of course, you're eating with your hands, which some of us do in some of our cultures. But then there's another element of that, right? Of the experience that you have. So when it comes to technology, the experience should be that it's evident where the value is, and the value is coming to you without any friction. And there's still below that onion skin many possibilities to open up those extra values, right?
Yeah, but then how do you differentiate yourself from the rest of the crowd? How do you?
That's how you differentiate yourself, because that's not what the rest of the crowd do. The rest of the crowd think the more we can load. I mean, I used to be pretty good in Excel, but now I cannot even figure out how to add 2 and 2 almost. I mean, it became so complex to just use standard Excel. If you're not a standard daily user, it's not easy to use it.
Yeah.
Right?
So doing less is doing more, kind of a thing you're talking about.
Yes, of course. You do. You have to create solutions that has a real focus on solving a problem. And when you solve that problem, it's obvious that the value is there. And you cannot do that if you're saying, okay, but I also need to cater for those 10 people, and I also need to cater for those 20 people, and I also need to cater for that style of business. You have to be razor focused on your business, on your application. You have to focus on a specific segment, a specific market. Maybe you have 20 solutions. Let's say, for example, now we are in document management, we are in enterprise content management. We have one product. And now we are expecting 20 different businesses to use that one product. Maybe that's not the solution. Maybe the solution is to have 20 versions of that product, tweaked a little bit to that specific use case. So when you buy it, it's ready. When you buy it, it's obvious that it solves that problem, and you don't have to think, oh, what's the best way of doing this or that? You mentioned QuickBooks earlier. I think QuickBooks have been very successful by forcing a certain use case, right? The way that you do it is our way, because anyway, your way is no better than our way. So let's just standardize. So when you standardize, people follow instead of trying to get you to follow them. So in this case, what we should do, or what a company should consider, is to consider making tweaks to their product according to the use case, and then market it as ECM for dentist, ECM for real estate, ECM for car dealership, ECM for lawyers, ECM for HR, ECM. So when you then, if you are an HR manager, you don't need to become a ECM expert, because we have already taken that out of the approach, right?
I hope you didn't learn this one from ERP vendors.
No, I did not learn it from anybody. I'm just thinking. And actually, of course, I read that book, Complexity Avalanche, which I think anybody in IT should read, because it is done by the Technology Association in the US. And I forgot the name of the author. Maybe we can put a link in the description below, as they say in YouTube, but maybe we can put a description here to the book, because now I think I mentioned it a few times. I have it on my Kindle, so I cannot see it on my bookshelf. I don't have it here in my bookshelf, but I have it in my Kindle. We can put a link in our description for this podcast, and then people can have a look at it. So I think that is the core of what I wanted to talk about today. It's good enough.
So some vendors, who are driving the consumption is also because of this very reason, right? The products are complex, and to get the actual use of it, using of it by the real customers, is not an easy task. So there is a separate consumption drive that you have to have, but you never did those days with products. People buy and they consume.
Yes, but because now complex, you have to. Now you are scared that they didn't discover the value. I mean, yes. Yesterday one of our employees wanted to get a tool for their business, SEO tool, which is costing $99 per month. It doesn't sound like a lot of money, but if you compare to what you get for $99 per month in Adobe, Autodesk, Microsoft, Enodoc, you get a lot, DocuSign, Adobe Sign, you can get a lot of products for much, much less than $99 per month, right? So to get the value out of that $99, there's so much functionality that you can start to doubt, am I getting that, right? We talked recently about an industry consultant membership that somebody has approached us for a membership of it's one of the industry analysts and consultants, and they have a membership which is like $50,000 a year. But if you don't use it every single day and take your decisions based on that, it's not going to have that value, right? And then you're not going to continue to subscribe. That $99, you might do it 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, then you'll unsubscribe. And that's why the consumption drive is there from all the technology vendors. Consumption means let's consume everything. In Microsoft Teams, let's make sure they do their meetings in Teams, their calendar in Teams, their collaboration, their file sharing. Everything has to be done in Teams, because then you get the full value of it. If you only use it for calling, then there's other solution. You can just use Skype, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of, what I wanted to discuss today, Wasantha. I don't think, it's simple should be not so complex to talk about, right? So I still love to cook.
So you're saying, the technology is not the one which is having the limit. Not the engineers cannot innovate, but of course users cannot consume that whatever
they cannot consume, and they cannot comprehend. And when you have 1,000 features that are used by 20% of the users, you have to do something to make them use more, and then that's kind of forcing something on top of somebody, right? I
Absolutely.
mean, you don't like music, but the main feature of the new car is a Bang & Olufsen music system. And instead of just saying, okay, we don't have to give you that, they will give you that, and they'll put something there for you to listen to, force that on you, right? So the selling point has to be attractive to the buyer.
Yes.
So
I don't think we have all the time in the world, so I think we are also reaching our...
Yeah. So anyway, I think that should not be so complex, as I said, to discuss simplicity. So let's leave it there, and let's see if we can get our, global marketing manager to convince her to change the slogan for Enerdoc and Enerdoc sign to good enough?
Absolutely. I'm
Okay,
with you.
thank you, Wasantha.
Thank you, Lars.
Stay safe and hopefully you'll not melt.
No, today, there's power and, so we have electricity and my AC is running, so I'm cool today.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast, and be sure to subscribe to get the latest updates. Let's talk again soon.